Surf's up, guys, it's Mauisnake here, and today's video is brought to you in partnership with esportsbet.io. If you use the link in the description box below, you will join their website using my referral code, which will help your favorite Counter-Strike content creator out. Actually, I know some of you probably really like Launders, and Thorin, and Richard, and there are other great people in this space. I love them too. But you will help me out if you sign up with the link below. So what we're going to be doing is looking at the ESL Pro League playoffs, which are starting on Tuesday. And we are going to be looking at through the lens of esports bet. We've got the bracket right here. In the first round matchup, we've got Big versus G2, GamerLegion versus VP, BetBoom FlyQuest, FaZe versus Monte. Before I even get into some of the bets here, I just want to give my general thoughts on this tournament because I have been watching it very closely. I've been doing watch parties on my Twitch stream, and I think that before this tournament even started, I thought that this was a big tournament for Vitality, and they showed up in full force. I won't be betting on them here in this video, but if I had to pick anybody at the tournament today to win it all, I would pick Vitality. I feel like they've shown quite a bit in the group stage here. I think Maus has as well. Astralis has also been looking like they've been on the come up, but I feel like Vitality right now have an insane ZywOo who's in a studio, so he's not playing against some top 10 opposition in a major playoffs or anything like that. We've got a Maus team who probably will have an easier run to this grand final than Vitality, but if Vitality beat either FaZe or Na'Vi in the quarterfinals, I just find that there's a strong likelihood that they're going to cruise towards the rest of this, and then it's them maybe versus Maus, say, in the grand finals. You can never really predict these things one for one, but I would just put my money on Vitality, and I probably will on my Twitch stream when I place some live bets there with esports bet and USDT. So let's actually get into this looking at the actual odds on esports bet's website. So first round matchup, we have G2 versus Big, and this is where I'm going to break things down a bit more. So first right here, I want to give you guys a primer. I place a total of nearly 70 bets on esports bet throughout ESL Pro League, and I won 45 of them, and I lost 27 of them. You are trying to win quite a bit. Also, I have varied unit sizes based on confidence in different bets, and I'm going to be doing that with you guys here. Today, I'm just going to be predicting the winners of these, but also through the lens of the odds at hand. And so, first round matchup, G2 versus Big. 1.338 odds for G2, 2.833 odds for Big Clan. So, the thing is that Big's wins to get to this point were against Boss, Para, and Heroic, and they lost to Na'Vi. G2, on the other hand, beat Tyloo, Falcons, and M80, and they lost to the Mongols and M80. All in all, neither of those runs are particularly impressive. Falcons have been floundering. M80 is kind of just like a solid tier 2 North American team, and Tyloo is pretty bad. So I'm not really too impressed by G2's run, and Big's run, Boss and Para, you know, it's like a tier 3 team in North America, you would say. A team you aren't even usually allowed to bet on in Para, whatever you make of that. And then beating a Heroic team, which has also been just struggling, just really struggling. So I can't really look at the strength of the victories to get them here. That's going to really make me lean one way or the other. I will say, though, that's why this veto gets really interesting. And Big versus G2, both of these teams like to perma-ban Mirage. And I think that if Big want a chance in this, they need to float Mirage. I feel like Big need to come out the gate swinging. They need to ban Inferno, hope that G2 ban Mirage. I need Big to pick Vertigo, which G2 are noticeably shaky at. G2 then will probably have to pick Nuke, which is usually their second favorite pick behind Inferno. And then I feel like for the decider, I think Big will ban out Anubis, and then G2 will ban out Overpass because Nico has famously just hated that map. Hooksy does like it, but why would you really go against your star there? And I think the decider will be Ancient. I feel like if it gets to Ancient, this can get really shaky for G2. But I do think that G2 has to come into this series recognizing that Vertigo will be picked against them. They have to game plan for that. And I just don't really know if I've seen enough from Big to convince me that that's going to be, that they're going to be able to even take advantage of G2 on the map. I do think that Big sometimes relies on Vertigo a little bit, but I do feel like there's a bit of a class difference here. When I think of the players one-to-one, Sirson hasn't really had the resurgence on Big that I've necessarily wanted when I kind of was like saying, ooh, you should look at this roster move, Big. Sirson's on the table. JDC has come back really strong. Crimbo has been the best overall player for Big, and then it kind of falls off a little bit. Tabson is all right. He's still solid, don't get me wrong. And then Prosis, I'm not really seeing that Academy League Prosis that was so good at space taking when he has to face against tier 1 opposition. I think there's a little bit of a gap there. And if he's doing ramp fights against Nico, I think that's going to be a bit of a difficulty for him. And I think Surson actually has found a little bit of comfort on A ramp Vertigo also when he's opting from the T side there. But I just still don't really think that's going to be enough versus, say, like Nico and Monte and a Hooksy that's supporting those two. So I'm not really too convinced about this one. And then for Nuke, I think G2 is pretty heavily favored. That being said, the odds do make me kind of feel like there's a chance here. I'm not going to go a full unit. I've talked about unit sizes a bit on my stream, but I will say that if I'm looking at this and 2.833 odds, my unit sizes have been 2,000 USDT. I'm actually thinking that I go for, say, a percentage unit here, a fractional unit of what I normally would do. So I have a hard time putting 2,000, like a whole unit on G2 outright in this one when the payout would only be 0.338, and I think they're a little bit shaky. Like, they should be winning because they have the best player in the server in Monte, but Big is known for being really strong at game planning. They're in a studio environment, so people like Surson won't even be that affected, and I also feel like there's just like some trick. Big always come with tricks. They always come with some strategizing that always kind of like can throw a team off kilter, and if they know the veto in advance and they go for this veto that I expect them to go for them to really throw the rule book out a little bit and say we're not going to ban Mirage like we always do. We're going to float that. And the thing is that Big floating Mirage is a little scary if you're G2, because G2, they think they're the favorites. They don't want to play a map that they're not comfortable on. And Big are probably thinking to themselves, we're the underdogs. We need to just take advantage of that, and we need to scare them by floating a map like Mirage. So I think that there's a chance that the veto and game planning goes so well for Big that it gives them a shot in this one. And so I am going to do a fractional unit on Big here. I'm going to do 1,000 on Big. So we're going to type that one in, and that's going to be the first bet that's placed. But by the way, my unit size is 2,000 USDT. We've got GamerLegion versus VirtusPro. This is VirtusPro's debut tournament with Electronic, which has got many people very excited, including myself. But I am going to try to strip away some of the excitement and give you really what's happened. They lost to Fnatic in their opening round matchup, although it was very close. They lost to a FaZe clan, which practically anybody in the world can lose to, and then they beat Saw twice. They beat Fnatic in the rematch, and GamerLegion, on the other hand, beat out Ents twice, who are looking very bad. They beat a Forest team with a couple of stand-ins, and they lost to Maus. Again, practically anybody in the world can lose to Maus. So this one's going to really come down to the veto for me. GamerLegion will ban out Anubis. VP will ban out Nuke. GamerLegion have tried picking Nuke with this 5-man lineup. They lost. They tried picking Ancient with this 5-man lineup. They lost. So they pretty much, to me, have to go to Overpass, which is a map that VP has really made their home map. And so for GamerLegion, they practically have to pick a map that we know that VP do want to pick. That being said, I don't really know where VP necessarily loves to go for this one. I think they might have to go with something like Vertigo, which they've actually been pretty strong at. They've liked to pick Anubis, but GamerLegion likes to ban that. And so I almost feel like this could be a game of chicken for who picks Overpass, because both teams want to play it. But I think that VP can lean into their Vertigo just a little bit more, and I think they would go for picking that. So for this matchup, because Overpass is definitely showing up, I think VP are heavily favored in this one. They're just the stronger team overall. This is the one map that I do feel like Snacks has a good grasp of mid-rounding on, and that I think him and Ash have come to a nice agreement on in terms of how they want to structure rounds. But I don't think it's going to be enough against VP. Flit's been on a tear. Fame's been really strong. Norbert is legitimately the best LAN Overpass player in the world by rating in the last 6 months. And I just feel like it's a map that they're so strong at that even if GamerLegion have a couple of nice tactics, cool ways to break the smokes with new mechanics in CS2, I just don't think it's going to be enough. This one I would put a full unit on, 1.286 odds. I will be taking VP in this one. So this is a full 2,000 unit bet for me. And that's going to be that. I think it's a little bit more straightforward. Next one, BetBoom versus FlyQuest. These are two teams that probably are pretty happy to be in the playoffs. I feel like both of them could have probably fallen out in their groups. For BetBoom, they beat M80 twice, they beat Falcons once, and they lost to Vitality. FlyQuest, on the other hand, beat Boss, Para, and NIP. They lost to Navi and Heroic. And if you're listening earlier to what I said, I don't think this Heroic team is very good right now. And so for me, FlyQuest, their run has been a little bit more fraudulent. The teams that they beat are much weaker. And I actually feel like for BetBoom, their run was a little bit more impressive. They beat an M80 team twice, which was able to take down G2. BetBoom themselves didn't beat G2, but M80 showed enough quality for me that was higher than Boss, Para, and IP. I think M80 is a higher quality victory for BetBoom, and BetBoom beat them twice over FlyQuest, all of their wins. And I almost feel like when I look at Heroic today versus M80, I feel like beating M80 might even be more impressive than beating Heroic, just based off of recent form. And so for BetBoom, I just think they're in much better shape. The veto will probably go like this. BetBoom are going to ban out Inferno. FlyQuest will ban out Overpass. BetBoom can have the option of picking Mirage or Overpass, or they would usually want to pick Overpass, but because FlyQuest ban it, they are not going to be picking that one out. They're probably going to pick Mirage. I think FlyQuest will have to pick Ancient here, and at that point, I'm not really sure. Like, the problem with this one is that FlyQuest are pretty good at Inferno, and they even call it Inferno, who has been their strongest player lately. And for me, I think BetBoom not only has like this map pool in their back pocket, I do feel like the quality of players has been stronger. The quality of wins has been stronger. BetBoom has been grinding online events also in the meantime. It doesn't ever make me feel great to bet for Nafany, but I will be betting on Nafany. I think Nafany and the boys are going to get it done. I'm just going to be betting a full unit on this one. It's actually pretty strong odds. I'm almost kind of surprised they're this close. I think that FlyQuest's been doing pretty well for themselves lately, but I'm still going to put the 2,000 on BetBoom in this one. Maybe you should maybe I'm not seeing something necessarily. Maybe FlyQuest are a little better than I think. Like, I think FlyQuest are impressive, but this is the first time that 3 of their players have even made it to the playoffs of an S-tier event. Yeah, Alistair's never been to an S-tier event before. And by the way, I think Alistair, of everybody in this server, he might just be the weakest player. Roll for roll, that is. Roll for roll, I do think he's one of the weakest players here. And I think that's always going to be something that's going to hinder FlyQuest. He's got to really make the leap if I'm going to believe in this FlyQuest team moving forward. Because beyond that, I actually think that there's some stuff they're working with here. Like Vexai, seems like there's some potential there. Dexter, even though I didn't think he was the right IGL for Maus in the long run, I think this is the perfect kind of team for him where he's going to gain a lot of respect. I feel like people can believe in him. They've even said that in interviews. And Ince has just been a monster. He's actually been legitimately good versus all types of opposition. The last matchup is the easiest one for me. I'm not even really going to dig that deep in this one. This is FaZe Clan versus Monte. FaZe sandbagged this group stage. They lost to Astralis. Maybe that's not sandbagging everybody's eyes, but you know that I call FaZe the great procrastinators. They're like the one team in a group stage where I just don't even care if they come in first place or last place as long as they make the playoffs. I always think they're going to ramp up, and I think that their floor is pretty high now with Frozen on the team. Frozen is a bona fide, I would say he's a superstar now. I'd say Brokey, the FaZe is probably one of the only two teams in the world, or one of the only teams in the world that has 2 legitimate superstars. Brokey is top 3 in role as an opper, and Frozen is top 3 in role as a rifler. I think they're both top 3, and then you would even consider Kerrigan to be top 3 in-game leader in the world. I don't know what else you can really ask for when at that point your supporting cast is Rain and Rops. Like, this team is so broken in terms of how powerful they should be, and the only teams that are beating them now are the teams in the grand finals if they are not winning the grand finals themselves. I'm taking FaZe all day with this one. I would actually, because this is such a little payout, 1.154, I'm actually going to make this one a little bit more interesting by betting 2 units on it. I honestly can't always bet on FaZe with the minus 1.5 because sometimes, like, they legitimately sandbag a map so hard and then they just turn it on completely, and then they just blow the team out of the water for map 3. Like, I can't even always. It's really, really oddly tough to bet on them for these kinds of things. I think what's maybe something that'd be more interesting is like betting on map 3 for FaZe, actually, but that's going to pay you it back. Actually, you know what? That's how I'm going to actually structure this bet between these two teams. I'm going to do a BO3 series win for FaZe. Can I parlay this, actually? Well, either way, I would do a 1.154. I'm going to do a full unit for them to just win the series, and I'm also going to put them to win map 3 if it gets to map 3. Okay, that's another unit. So I just have no doubt that FaZe is going to win this, and I'm making it a little juicier that I think there's... Okay, by the way, if you bet on map 3 win for FaZe and there was no map 3, you are just paid back to yourself. Like, you just get your money back. Like, the bets are void at that point. So there's really... It's not like there's a risk like, oh, what if it gets to map 3, by the way, for inexperienced bettors right there. And the thing is that the map 3 odds are better than betting on the series itself. And so, but I still want to put action on this series regardless, because I feel like it's such a safe call. I hope this doesn't end up on one of those Twitter accounts where it just blows up in my face. But this just seems like it's very, very clean between these two. Yeah, I just feel like there's no way Monte do this. By the way, for Monte's context here, they beat Forza twice, who are in an abysmal state with 2 stand-ins, Smooya being one of them, and then Furia, who were playing with, again, he's a stand-in, but Brolin was a stand-in for Maus before he got picked up. Let's just say a tryout for Furia from their academy team in Kai. And yeah, for me, he was the worst player on a tier 1 roster, period. So they beat Furia. They lost to Liquid. They lost to ENCE. And ENCE is just like tragically bad right now. They're really bad. They really need help. They need to find fixes fast. And they definitely have the money to do it. They made the major. They had that sticker money. They sold off the core they had before to Falcons. I don't know why ENCE can't make a big move, but that's a topic for another video entirely, or for Snake and Banter, which is on the Last Free Nation Counter-Strike channel. Thorin and I talk about ENCE a bit on that one, what they need to do, what they need to change. But Monte, to me, have no chance in this series. Just flat out no chance. I don't even need to get into the veto on this one. FaZe beat out Imperial, VP, Eternal Fire. Those are all 3 teams that were at the major, and pretty convincing at that. They lost to Astralis, like I said earlier, who seemed to be on the come up. But that's going to be it. That's going to be my last bet for this one. Thank you guys so much for another video. Be sure to watch my watch parties on twitch.tv/Mauisnake. I am also multi-streaming to YouTube as well, so you can watch here, which is appreciated. I feel like the chat's a little bit more fun and there's a little more action in Twitch, so feel free to watch from either side of things. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter for all this crazy hate I've been getting from Brazilians who think that I hate their country, even though, practically speaking, I don't. I actually like many Brazilian players. I like what Pain's doing. I like what its Imperial's doing. I like what MIBR is doing. I just think that Keita Serrato's in a jail of his own making. And that's pretty much it. That's going to be it for this, guys. Thank you, EsportsBet. Once again, visit the link in the description box below to place your own bets. Use my referral code Mauisnake, all caps, or just click the link below, and you'll get 30,000 ESC. You'll also receive a deposit bonus on 100 USDT, which has easier conditions to satisfy than the normal deposit bonuses that are on the website already. Please read the terms and conditions on their website, and be sure to bet responsibly. And by the way, none of this is truly betting advice, but I think it's fun nonetheless. So, as always, being toxic is a choice.